Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel After the Move. My name is Rona. Today we'll be looking at deciding to migrate to Canada part 2. If you have not yet checked out part 1, feel free to check it out and be sure to remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's do a quick recap before we enter our new video for today. So in our last video, we looked at the express entry system and we learned what that was. We learned that it was a permanent residency program management system that focused on 3 programs: the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the Federal Skilled Trades Program, and the Canadian Experience Class. We viewed the eligibility criteria for each program, we found our NOC code, and we used the CRS calculator to calculate our score. So, what does that 438 mean? What does that mean? Is 438 a good score? Is it a bad score? Well, before we get into what 438 means, let us first look at how scores are allocated so that you have a better understanding of this. Join me on screen. To see how your score was calculated, you can Google Comprehensive Ranking System Criteria Express Entry, and you should be taken to this page. So up by the top, they give you a summary of the maximum points per factor for express entry candidates. But what we're going to do is that we're going to scroll down to the points breakdown by section to give us a better understanding of the score that we receive. Now, the first part of the CRS score is made up of human or core capital factors. And the maximum points that you can get for this section is 500 points. As you age up and down, you gain and you lose points. So if it is that you're 17 years of age or less, you see that you have 0 points. This is because a 17-year-old will likely not be able to contribute to the economy of Canada. They'll be in school. When you're 18, you're an adult, so you may be working, you get 99 points. When you become 19, you get 105 points. Between the ages of 20 to 29, you get 110 points, and 110 points is the maximum that you can get for this factor. What is interesting is that every year after 29, you lose 5 points. This means that when you're 30, you get 105. When you're 31, you get 99. And if you scroll down, you realize that by the time you get to 45 years of age or more, the points that you are contributing, or the points that you are receiving rather, is 0. This is because the issue that Canada has is that they have an aging population. At 45 years old, you will be likely adding to that aging population. So they don't give you points for age. If you are coming in at that age, there has to be something else to give you an edge over the younger immigrants. Let us now look at the level of education. The points progressively increases as you gain more educational qualifications. So if you don't have a high school diploma, you get 0 points. A secondary or high school diploma starts at 30 points, and this goes up to 150 points that you get if you have a PhD. Okay, so now as it relates to your language. Now, if you notice that these scores are in the Canadian language benchmark level per ability, right? The Canadian language benchmark goes from a CLB 4 to a CLB 10, but most persons who are outside Canada will do the IELTS exam. But there is a conversion. So if you Google language test equivalency charts, you will be able to see a Government of Canada site pop up that tells you the conversion. So for example, to get the maximum points, which is a CLB 10 or more, right? You have to get CLB 10 is an 8 in reading, a 7.5 in writing, an 8.5 in listening, and a 7.5 in speaking. So those are the scores that you need to hit if you want to get maximum points. I'm going to say them again. A 8 in reading, a 7.5 in writing, an 8.5 in listening, and a 7.5 in speaking. Now, you can go on your own time and look at the equivalency. Like, for example, a CLB 9 is a 7 in reading, a 7 in writing, an 8 in listening, a 7 in speaking. And that will get you 31 points instead of 34. Some persons know how to speak another language. Some people speak French. I have even seen persons gone as far as to learn French in order to get more points, right? And the same will apply. So it is CLB 9 or more is 6 points per ability. So if you get CLB 9 in all reading, writing, speaking, and listening, then it's 6 by 4, which is why you will see the maximum points of 24 being here. So if it is that you have French, you will get 24 extra points. Or if it is that you're French and you have English, you'll get 24 extra points. Now, Canadian work experience, that is the same. So if it is that you worked a year, you'll get 40 points, 2 years, 53, and so on. Just go through this page, and once you go through, you will see how the points are allocated, right? So this will give you an idea why you get the score that you get. So if you know that you're 45 and you see that your score is low, then chances are it's that low because you didn't get any points for your age. Okay? All right. Having looked at how our CRS score was calculated, the next thing that we will look at is how the CRS score is ranked according to the current pool of candidates that exist in the express entry pool. Because remember that is what the express entry program does. It uses the scores to rank the candidates and then invites the highest ranking candidates to apply for the express entry program. So the first thing that I want for you to do is to Google express entry rounds of invitations. It should take you directly to this page, and this page has a lot of information on it. But there are two things that we'll be focusing on today. The first thing is the results from the most recent rounds of invitations. So when you get here, you will realize that the most recent draw that happened, or the most recent invitations that were sent out for these candidates to apply to become permanent residents, was done on February 2nd, 2023. And we can see that the program was only the federal skilled worker program. So that means that the other two classes were not eligible. So there was no Canadian experience class or federal skilled trades program, only the FSW program. The number of invitations that they issued were 3,300. The score of the lowest ranked candidate was 489. And the tie-breaking rule, and this is a rule that they have implemented, that if more than one candidate has the lowest score, the cutoff time is based on the date and time they submitted their express entry profile. So this tie-breaking rule is March 29, 2022 at 1609 UTC. So if they met these requirements, then they would have been given an invitation to apply. Now, the next important thing on this page that we'll be looking at is the CRS score distribution of candidates in the express entry pool as of February 1, 2023. Now, we know that they recently did a draw for 3,300 persons on February 2nd. So some of these persons are no longer in the pool, but a majority of them still are. So we can see that within the 601 to 1200 range, there are 937 candidates. Between 501 to 600, there are 1,553 candidates. Between 451 to 500, there are 64,382 candidates. Now, this is broken down so you can see how many persons have between 491 to 500. You can see how many have 451 to 460, which is 13,211. When we look at our 438 in comparison to that, 438 lands us right here, right? So we're in this section with 13,000 persons. But what this means is that there are 80,000 plus persons who are better ranked than us. Now, to put this into context, in 2023, IRCC, the Government of Canada, plans to invite 75,750 candidates through the express entry route. And you know that the express entry pool is not static. So as the year progresses, more and more persons will apply. So really and truly, sitting at 438 is not really a very good score for us, as the likelihood of us getting an invitation is low. It's not impossible, but it's low because IRCC is IRCC. They do what they want when they want to do it. All right? We see that 438 does not put us in the best standing. So is there anything that we can do about that 438? Is it something that we can improve? Well, stay tuned for our next video. And if when you did your score, you came out with a very good score, you are confident that in a couple weeks, a couple months, you could snag an invitation, stay tuned also to our next video when we will start to share next steps and just go right into completing the express entry process. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Do remember to like, subscribe, and share this video.